All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about music, doing it in real time for a few people just like you there and like me here. So I'm still kind of reflecting and mourning the great John Lodge, who, quite honestly, didn't get the same amount of ink or attention that a lot of other great bass players get, great musicians get. He was part of a rock and roll Hall of Fame band. I started finding some of my CDs, and I didn't find all of them because my collection is very disorganized. But I would say because I started listening to rock stations right around 1980, 1981, that this album to me stands up as my favorite Moody Blues album. It's called Long Distance Voyager. And I think it's brilliant. And I remember hearing The Voice get on the radio. In fact, I believe Gemini Dream, when it was released, hit the top 10, which was very unusual for the Moody Blues. They weren't really a singles band, but they did have some chart singles over the years. And during the 80s, they had a lot more success as a singles band as they adjusted their sound a bit. But Long Distance Voyager, and these are just random. This one here, In Your Wildest Dreams, which was a huge MTV hit. A lot of people don't realize that. Um, but I scoop CDs up whenever I can, and if I see a Moody Blues, I'm going to grab it. And this album is just terrific from start to finish. This one is kind of a strange one. This is toward the end of their run of really amazing albums, and a lot of people forget about this one here. But this is Keys to the Kingdom, and Say It With Love is on this, and Bless the Wings That Bring You Back, which is a song that a lot of people don't know. But I would go listen to this from start to finish and then make a decision. The record label, everybody had kind of pulled up stakes with the Moody's at that point, and you know what happened later on with the grunge stuff that really took over the decade. Um, and this I have in my collection as well, Seventh Sojourn, which is just, I mean, if you're looking for some interesting lyrics and some amazing music with those lyrics, this would be the album to get right here, Seventh Sojourn. And you're going to find a lot of stuff maybe that you've never heard before on there. But the Moody's are like that. And John Lodge was just this super underrated, underappreciated, great bass player, great songwriter, great singer, great team member. He was always kind of playing second fiddle to Justin Hayward. But if you look at his output, it's quite prolific. Ride My Seesaw, which was a huge song. Also, I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band. I mean, and that's the humility of John Lodge, just putting it out there, saying, hey, this is what I do. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but for John Lodge and the Moody Blues, that song was almost saying, hey, we're this rock band, we're nothing special, but yet we've already put a masterpiece out there, which is Days of Future Past. And sonically, I have that CD somewhere here, and it's the first remaster. I think it was remastered again. Get the remastered version of it if you can find it. Put some headphones on and just go through all of these different times of the day. Tuesday afternoon. Remember when that was on the radio? Like every Tuesday afternoon, the DJ would play it. It was a thing, like playing Working for the Weekend, Friday, 5 o'clock. I mean, this is what I grew up in, right? And so I miss these traditions. And, the passing of John Lodge for some reason hit me a lot harder than some of the other people. that have passed away in recent years because I just remember all of this music and how a lot of my friends they were listening to Yes or Pink Floyd, and the Moody Blues were like my thing. They were my thing. Everyone else had their thing. I had my thing. And I was in good company because every time I'd say I'm a huge Moody Blues fan, everybody was like, yeah, I can respect that, you know? Um, they got a little poppy in the 80s, but so what? They were still making great music and it worked for them. They got people to go back in time throughout the 70s and even into the 60s to hear um, I mean, maybe except for that very first incarnation of the Moody Blues with like Go Now, which doesn't even sound like anything that would come later on. They were trying to be like Top of the Pops, the UK thing, singles band. Not a bad song. Denny Lane is in the band at that time, and the band would get retooled with Justin Hayward and John Lodge, and they'd go on to do just amazing things. And it's sad that only Justin is left. Um, and, you know, he is the primary songwriter and sang on most of their bigger hit songs, but he's as important and in a different way, maybe more important than John Lodge. And the fact that he's still with us is pretty cool. It's going to be sad when he's no longer here, and let's just pray that his health is good and he can go out there and play music because even recently, Justin Hayward has put out some amazing music. Vocally, he still sounds terrific, and we have to hold on to something, right? I mean, time is going by quickly, and I don't know. I was a kid when this came out. I was a teenager, and this was on my turntable a lot. All right. And it was different from the music that I had been listening to in the late 70s as a kid. When I heard the Moody Blues, I'm like, the texture, the lyrical depth, the quality of the music, the production value, um, the great musicianship throughout, the drums, the bass, the rhythm section, everything just had its own unique sound. And that's what made the Moody's so great. And these guys dabbled in classical music, some would say progressive rock, but it was a combination. There was a little bit of psychedelic music in there, but a lot of it had to do with putting rock and roll to a classical type, I don't know, format, or you would run it through. You'd take some rock and run it through what it could sound like as a classical piece. And another song to listen to is Questions. It's just an amazing song. Just breathtakingly good, and another song that people forget about. It's just like a train that's chugging down the tracks and it starts going faster and faster. I don't hear that on radio stations anymore, and that was like one of those show stopping kind of drive to the side of the road and stop and listen to it kind of songs. It's just, and then the lyrics too, profound. These guys were always philosophical and interesting, and just they're not making this type of music anymore. Yeah, there are progressive bands, but there aren't super classy progressive bands. There aren't bands where the singers are both, you know, in this case. Well, you also had, I think Ray Thomas would sing in the Moody Blues, or was it Graham Edge? I know they had multiple singers. I'm thinking it was Ray who sang. Song about Timothy Leary. Timothy Leary's dead. That's a fun song. It's definitely, that was the 60s, man. Timothy Leary's dead. Um, he was supposed to lead everyone out of the 60s, taking them on a drug induced trip, literal trip around the universe. And I don't know if that ever worked out, but those are fond memories. If you go way back, you know all of that stuff and how prevalent it was. But I just caught like the tail end of it, and there were a lot of people that just really embraced that whole era. So anyway, the Moody Blues, They're not just this kind of spooky mystical band. They're more of a thoughtful, progressive, classical, well-oiled machine. Elegant. All of those words come to mind. And again, the great John Lodge, who passed away at the age of 82. Um, an amazing bassist as well, a great songwriter, and super underrated, super underappreciated. And I'm so happy at least he got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, anyway, just a little recap of memories of the Moody Blues and John Lodge. And you'll hear better tributes and more organized tributes, but I'm a huge fan. So, I'm just putting out my fanboy tribute to the Moody Blues. God bless Justin Hayward, and also God bless all of the fans and family um, of the late, great John Lodge, and all of the rest of the Moody's who have gone on to play music together in a better place.